to say it. You got to keep that physical distance. 2 meters, 6 feet, Samson and a half, 36 mini donuts, a full grown llama. That really matters. You really have to get into the habit. And I know it's weird. I know it's weird, but you got to get in the habit of wearing that mask, of wearing a face covering, of covering your nose and your mouth when you're in a place where you're going to come into contact with people that you don't know. You really should have downloaded by now. It's not too late. The Alberta Trace Together app, and make sure that you're using that when you're out in public to help us with contact tracing. So because of all of this, because of all of these actions, we can continue to ease restrictions. The next phase of easing restrictions is expected to happen on Monday. That is going to be the allowance for some schools, some day camps, and for places of worship with very significant restrictions. So if you find yourself in one of those categories, make sure that you're visiting the bizconnect.gov.ab.ca website to see what those guidelines are, particularly for places of worship, because should you choose to open, you are not going to look the same as you did before. And I think it's important for people to understand that. So with that, a couple other things before I turn it over to Sue Henry. I want to talk about Stephen Avenue. So we had a conversation last time about Stephen Avenue, and we talked about whether we would consider going pedestrian free for the summer. So we are going to do that. We're going to start that tomorrow, so after 11 a.m., only pedestrians and cyclists will be allowed on Stephen Avenue. Vehicle traffic will still be allowed in the mornings in order to do deliveries and loading and so on, 6 to 11 a.m. to be exact. And the basic principle here is to just help support those businesses. Because the restaurants are operating at lowered capacity, they need those patios. We've got to be able to expand the patios in order to have them have more patrons available for them. And so the patios are going to go right to the edge of the sidewalk. What is now the driving lane will become the pedestrian and cyclist lane, and creating that room. Now, I want to be very, 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 very clear. This is not a street festival. This is not summer party on Stephen Avenue. It's not a place to come and hang out on the street. There's not enough room. What this is about is supporting those local businesses. So if you want to be able to come and have dinner or lunch, sitting on one of those patios on Stephen Avenue, this is the time to do that. But do make reservations first, see if there's room for you, and hopefully we'll be able to support those businesses. We remember that we still are doing everything in our power to prevent another outbreak. You're going to hear me say that over and over and over today and in the upcoming days. With that, why don't I stop there and turn it over to Deputy Chief Sue Henry of Calgary Emergency Management Agency, who's going to give you some important stuff you need to know going into this beautiful weekend. Sue?
Thank you, Mayor Nenshi, and good afternoon. Thank you for all being with us today. I'm pleased to advise that as of tomorrow, Friday, May 29th, playgrounds, whether located in city parks or on other city property or private property, will be eligible to operate following the public health orders. In alignment with this opening, the City of Calgary is rescinding the closure order for playgrounds as of tomorrow. The order guiding organized and team sports will remain in effect. So the City of Calgary will begin the process of reopening more than 1,100 city-owned playgrounds. With warm weather in the forecast and knowing the value these amenities provide to Calgarians, Calgary Parks has been able to advance the timing around reopening. We are really proud of this team in Parks. They've been able to respond quickly and safely while advancing the timelines so Calgarians have a few more options for what looks to be a gorgeous weekend. City-operated playgrounds will begin to reopen tomorrow, May 29th, instead of the original forecasted date of June 1st. Regional playgrounds will be opened first. These playgrounds are designed to serve more than one community. These are playgrounds like Bowness Park, Riley Park, and Stanley Park. Following this, the community playgrounds will begin to reopen. Because we have 1,100 playgrounds, it will take several days to reopen all of these city-operated playgrounds, and the entire process is expected to be completed by Wednesday, June the 3rd. As part of this process, City Park staff will be doing a light inspection of each of the playgrounds. If any issues are discovered upon this inspection, the playground will remain closed until these issues can be repaired. Calgary's playgrounds do typically receive monthly inspections during the summer and a total of 7 inspections per year. These are done by qualified playground inspectors, and these routine inspections will also resume once the playgrounds are open. You will know that a playground is open when you see a couple of things. You'll see the closure sign removed, and you'll see some signs reminding what safe usage of the playground looks like. You will also see the caution tape removed. Please do not remove the caution tape yourself at your local playgrounds. Wait for the city crews to open the playgrounds safely. Playgrounds by nature are high-touch surfaces. These areas are not disinfected or cleaned after use, and there's limited ability to manage physical distancing on these structures. Parents, please help your children use these playgrounds safely. If you make the choice to visit a playground, remember the guidelines. Those who are sick or have symptoms of COVID-19 must stay home. Practice proper hand hygiene. Wash or sanitize your hands before and after using the playground structure, and avoid touching your face. If you use sanitizer, make sure that it contains at least 60% alcohol. Encourage children to avoid sharing toys or sports equipment, and to limit contact with individuals outside of your household or cohort family. Maintain 2 meters of physical distance between yourself and others, and beware of areas where folks naturally congregate when they're entering and leaving the playground. This is the park benches, the pathways, and the picnic areas. Continue to follow the Government of Alberta guidance on gatherings. This means that gatherings outside under 50 are permitted only if you can maintain 2 meters of distance from those outside your cohort family. This is a great time for Calgarians to continue to support local business in Calgary. And as we do that, a quick reminder that the 30-minute curbside pickup and free delivery parking zone promotion is coming to an end on May 31st. So starting on June 1st, payment will again be required. This was a temporary initiative and is now being lifted as part of our relaunch and reopening plans. There's also been a lot of excitement around temporary outdoor patios as the weather continues to get nicer. To support the local economy and small businesses that are reopening, the city has developed a new process to approve temporary patios on public lands such as a sidewalk and private property such as a parking lot. Businesses can call 403-268-5311 to start their application process by speaking with our planning department. There is no fee for a temporary permission on public land. However, if your patio is on private property, a development permit is required. Once your temporary patio is approved, you will be required to follow the Alberta health requirements, the guidance from the Chief Medical Officer of Alberta, as well as occupational health and safety requirements. This will include pedestrian safety and accessibility. Temporary patios are one more option to create more physical space for both the patrons and the staff. To date, we have had 45 applications for temporary outdoor patios. These have been completed. 34 applications are being processed, and 6 temporary patios are already installed and operating. With the warm weather expected this weekend and with the easing of restrictions, we know Calgarians will be keen to get outside. Calgary, you know what to do, and we thank you for continuing to be safe. You've continued to adjust your routines, you've made new habits, and made the best of a challenging situation. But it is really important to maintain the progress that we've made and keep ourselves and others safe. Continue to be careful and thoughtful about your actions and decisions, and ensure you maintain 2 meters of physical distance from others. If you go to your favorite park and find that it's crowded, please adjust your plans to go to a different area. It's a great opportunity to explore some of the city's quieter locations. If you are driving to a park and find the parking lot is full when you arrive, please be respectful of the neighboring community and follow the parking rules and regulations. A full parking lot is also another great opportunity to explore a different area in Calgary. We will continue to have parks ambassadors and peace officers patrolling popular areas, such as the Eau Claire Promenade, where we continue to see challenges with crowding and physical distancing. Business license inspectors will continue to conduct inspections, helping to ensure the safety of both staff and patrons for the foreseeable future. Since Monday's relaunch, we have received only 12 COVID-related complaints. They have all been resolved and no tickets were issued this week. This is continuing to show that business owners and patrons are taking the public health requirements very seriously. This is a great start to our relaunch as a city. As restrictions ease up, it is important as ever to be vigilant. If we can be careful and measured in how we proceed, we can help keep each other healthy and hopefully see more things open up. With that, I will pass to Russell Davies, Director of Calgary Transit.
Thank you, Sue, and good afternoon. With the opening of businesses in downtown Calgary, we've received a number of questions about Calgary Transit service and what we're doing to keep our passengers safe on our system. And we just want to provide a few highlights of what's going on right now and what our path is going forward. Up to now, Calgary Transit has been very successful in cleaning our system. We've got enhanced cleaning protocols, and we have rear door loading, and we have some separation for some of our operators as well. All these practices together have basically meant that within Calgary Transit, we've only had 4 confirmed cases of COVID-19, and 3 of which had nothing to do with the workplace. So the actions of our employees and the actions of our current users have helped contribute to that extremely low level of infection of people using Calgary Transit. Going forward, Calgary Transit will be further increasing our cleaning protocols, and already we're seeing online staff and contractors cleaning the trains on the high contact touch points of seats, door buttons and the like. And we expect to see that service pushing out further the further into this we go. Also, we're providing barriers to separate our drivers from our passengers. We've already finished that process on our shuttle bus service, and we expect to complete that on our bigger bus service sometime towards the end of June. Once we've managed to successfully provide all those barriers to isolate our passengers from our drivers, we'll be looking at expanding our service and moving the boarding of passengers to front door only. We'll be working with our unions and with our employees to make sure they feel safe in the workplace, and we'll be conducting surveys with our passengers to make sure they feel safe entering our buses. So in terms of cleanliness, I think we've had some good success in the past, and we've got some good plans going forward. And I think that Calgarians have every right to feel safe boarding on our system. Capacity is the other question that we get asked about a lot. We have recently gone through a 30% cut in service, and that has obviously impacted the overall rider experience. Some riders may experience a little bit of a delay in the service they would have previously seen. But generally, we've managed to keep service through all areas of Calgary to a meaningful level. Right now, our ridership is still adequately covered with our current service, and we still do maintain a certain amount of spare service available in the background if ridership increases drastically. We do monitor overloads on our system, and we're monitoring that as we go forward now. We're still seeing some minor overloads on 1 or 2 routes, but nothing significant. And we do have a program in place that if those overloads become meaningful and consistent, then we will adjust service accordingly. I think that's all we need to say right now, and we'll take any questions. Thank you.
I'll jump in now.
Oh, sorry.
A few more things, and then we will go to questions. So thanks very much, Russell. Thanks very much, Sue. You know, since the beginning of this, we've talked a lot about the importance of physical health, of mental health, and of economic health, and the importance of balancing all of those things. And I just want to remind people in terms of mental health that there are resources available for you. May, for example, is Sexual Violence Awareness Month in Alberta. And we haven't had a chance much to talk about this, but we have heard that the Alberta One Line Sexual Violence Helpline has received a 40% increase in calls over the same time last year. The City of Calgary has added new online resources to the city's COVID-19 response pages that bring together community resources and supports to help anyone who is experiencing or in fear of domestic or sexual violence. In some cases, social isolation can actually increase risk to personal safety. So I just want people to know that we have resources available, that you are not alone, that even if it's harder for you to connect with friends and family, those online resources on calgary.ca can help you. There's numbers to call or text if you're experiencing violence, if you have a friend or a loved one that you suspect is being abused. At any time, you can call 211. There are text options if it's not safe to make a phone call. And we just need to let every survivor of sexual violence know it's not your fault. We believe you. Come forward when you're ready. There is a safe place for you to go. I want to share with you now some good news, and literally some good news about some good news. So many of you will have been tuning into the show, Some Good News, John Krasinski's show. And I remember seeing a clip from the show and going, hey, that's Mackenzie Town. They're featuring Calgary. That's so cool that Calgary was featured. It turns out that Calgary isn't just featured on that show, but the whole show came together because of a Calgary-based company, a Calgary-based industry collaboration company called Communo. Ryan Gill and his team brought together a number of creative powers, including the Calgary social media agency Arcade, to build this viral hit. So some good news has been some good news for the Calgary tech economy and for how we work on Calgary in the new economy. And you may have heard that there was a big sale of that program, and I just want to congratulate everyone involved in that. Quintessentially Calgarian, bringing people good news, bringing people reasons to be happy, and working innovatively and in tech. So congratulations with that. Now, while we've all done a lot to help squash this threat, there's still a need for some more good news. And I remember when my friend Jan Arden started hosting her online concerts, we watched more and more people communicating online, bringing art and culture to people in the community. And I'm so thrilled that the Calgary Folk Festival, starting this weekend, will be airing free concerts on Saturday nights. It's not quite the same as sitting on a tarp with 20,000 of my closest friends on Prince's Island, but again, it continues to build community. And while we're on the topic of the arts, I have a little personal congratulations to my neighbor in Coral Springs, that self-titled kid from Northeast Calgary, Andrew Fung. Andrew, who was awarded third time in a row Best Supporting Actor at the Canadian Screen Awards for his role in Kim's Convenience. From his days at Loose Moose to all the incredible community work he does, every time he's in Calgary, he's hosting events, he's building community supports, and using that marvelous talent. So thank you, Andrew, for that. So as we go into what I hope will be a beautiful weekend, as we go into a beautiful weekend when patios are open and maybe you can even get a haircut, I keep telling Tom Sampson, man, he's getting shaggy, needs that haircut. But I really want to urge caution. And I know I sound like a downer when I do this, and I hate that it's my job, but we all have to be really careful. So, on Tuesday I said, don't be like Toronto when I saw the pictures of the crowds in Trinity Bellwoods Park. So today is the birthday of Mayor John Tory, the mayor of Toronto. So let's give John Tory a great birthday present. If you hear my voice in Toronto, don't be like you were last week. And if you hear my voice in other places, make John Tory happy by knowing that we are going to learn from his example. So what that means is that as we go through this beautiful weekend, let's go out. Let's get some sun. Let's see some friends. But let's do so in a way that is safe. And so I'm going to repeat again what some of the guidelines are. So yes, you can gather with people outdoors, up to 50 people, but you must be 2 meters apart between each family. I know it sounds weird, but you can actually have a decent social conversation with other friends and family 2 meters apart. I was asked on my Facebook Live this week, can I have 20 people in my backyard? And the answer is, boy, you probably have a really big backyard because you really do need to keep that distancing. We're asking people to explore the 8,000 hectares of green space in Calgary. Look at those less traveled places. Look, right next to my house in Northeast Calgary, we're on the Rotary Mattamy Greenway, which is the largest urban pathway in the world. It's got beautiful pocket parks and gathering spaces all around it, like an aspen stand with a beautiful water feature right off of 32nd Avenue Northeast that nobody knows about. And so you can explore these things. You can explore our over 1,000 kilometers of trails. We are asking people, as you've heard, to try and resist going to those really popular places that can get congested. And so, when we think of places like Sue Higgins, the wonderful dog park, when we think of Prince's Island, the Eau Claire area, when we think of Nose Creek, those are places where we want to be careful. Or Nose Hill, I should say. Those are places where we want to be careful. Nose Hill is a good example. It's a giant park. It's actually very easy to physically distance within that park. The problem is you got pinch points at the openings. And so if the parking lot is full, don't park on Shaganappy Trail, right? It means try and explore somewhere else. And I'm not saying don't go to those places ever. If you've got a reservation at the beautiful River Cafe, whose patio is now open, go. But at the same time, let's not all crowd those places. Let's not have pictures around the country like at Trinity Bellwoods Park in Toronto came out last week. So let's remember the reason that the restrictions have been eased, the reason that we are able to do this is precisely because people have behaved so very well. And we need to keep doing it. You cannot say, the parachute is slowing my fall. I guess I can take the parachute off now. The key is to come in for that safe landing. And so I'm really encouraging you to be disciplined. So I saw a great new graphic from our colleagues at the City of Calgary today, which looks like a caution triangle. I love it, and we'll be sharing that, but I want to tell you what it is. 3 things that you need to keep doing. Keep your physical distance. 2 meters, 6 feet, Samson and a half, 36 mini donuts, a full-grown llama. That list is getting longer and longer and longer. Number 2, wear a face covering. Cover your mouth and nose whenever you can, wherever you're going to be in a place where you are in contact with people that you don't know. While you're wearing that mask, also download the Trace Together app to help us with the contact tracing. And number 3, let's go right back to the beginning of this. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, do all of the stuff that you need to do to keep the spread down. Cough into your elbow, all of those things. Leave your face holes alone, as that song of 3 months ago told us. These things still matter. Wash your hands for 20 seconds at a time. Sing happy birthday twice. Cough into your elbow. Do not touch your face. All of this stuff still matters. Keep your space. These are the actions that will really matter. So with that, remember, we're still all in this together. We still got to stay safe. We got to be kind to everyone. We've saved thousands of lives, and let's keep saving lives. So with that, we will go to questions now. Operator, can you put through the first question, please?
Absolutely. The first question is from Madeline Smith of the Calgary Herald. Madeline, your line is open. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mayor. So we heard, I believe yesterday or earlier this week, Premier Kenney has said that the provincial health emergency won't be renewed in mid-June. What does that mean for the City of Calgary in terms of the local state of emergency here, and will that change anything?
Yeah, this is very inside baseball stuff in terms of whether it's a provincial order or a city order. So fundamentally, the rules are not going to change. People still need the ability to follow the guidelines that you've heard. And when the guidelines change, it actually really doesn't matter if those are under the city's state of local emergency or the province's provincial health emergency, or if they are just orders from Dr. Hinshaw and her team at Alberta Health. So the broader answer to your question, Madeline, is it doesn't really matter. The guidelines are still going to change. The mechanisms don't really matter. The more specific answer to your question is, as we heard that, we've been in contact with the provincial government to better understand their intent. Do they want the city to keep its state of local emergency in place? Do they want us to lift out the restrictions across the province at the same time? And we'll probably have some news on that in the next week. Do you have a follow-up?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking about people continuing to follow these rules and keep each other safe, and, everything is a little bit anecdotal. I think people are seeing different things as they're venturing out. But what's your take on how Calgarians are doing so far in terms of going out to these restaurants and patios and still keeping that distance and following these rules? What have you been seeing, and what are your thoughts on how that's going?
The reason that I have a sad look on my face is because I myself have not been able to go out and observe the world. Maybe I should just put on a mask and do my own inspections. But I will tell you that anecdotally, but also from our bylaw officers and the folks who are on the street, we have heard excellent things. That people are doing great. They're being very careful. That we're looking at somewhere between 25 and 50% of restaurants opening now and over the course of the next week for those dine-in services. And that in those small cases with 12, Sue, where we actually had to speak with businesses, we were able to solve the problems right away. So as far as I've heard, things are going really well. We have not had to ticket a bunch of people, and people are being very responsible. And so kudos to Calgarians for that. All right, next question, please.
Thank you. The next question is from Helen Pike, CBC. Please go ahead.
Hi. So obviously with this patio stuff, the city is kind of learning and changing things around, but there has been some questions online about, like you see a business open, their patio is now stretching way longer than their business. 17th is the example. So who, I guess, decides what 50% is when we're changing how big a patio is?
Well, thanks for that question, Helen. And that's exactly why we're changing how big a patio is, so that those restaurants that might not have been able to operate with a 50% restriction on capacity, they wouldn't have enough patrons, have the opportunity to do that. So in fact, we're doing exactly that. We're making it easier to stretch out your patio. Of course, you have to make a deal with your next door neighbor if you're going to be covering their storefronts. On Stephen Avenue, we're going to be pushing the patios out towards the road, and that's precisely why. It's just to increase some capacity, because remember, outdoors is safer than indoors for these restaurants to get some more staff in. And I should say that the ALCG, Alberta Liquor, Gaming, Cannabis, has been very helpful in this, in terms of helping us think about how we can extend that. And we've got a simple but complicated decision structure within the city, where sometimes you have to go through planning depending on your location. Sometimes our friends in Calgary Roads can approve it, but they're going very quickly. And did you say 45 patios now? So the 45 patios that were approved, they've been approved, in a day or in 2 days. And my colleagues have been doing really good work in helping that happen. Did you have a follow-up, Helen?
Yeah, just for the pedestrian realm of on that, patios and then extending, making a new sidewalk out of laneways. How do we ensure that pedestrians feel safe? Along Memorial, there's 30 kilometer an hour signs, and then when you go to 17th, there's nothing kind of saying, hey, slow down, drivers. And there's big delivery trucks that use that route.
Thanks. I literally just received a 16-page document about the adaptive roads on 17th Avenue, which did include signs for speed restrictions. So our colleagues in roads are working very hard on making sure that we figure out how to manage with this new reality. Traffic is still way less than it used to be. So we have the opportunity to do things like that. So, for example, on Stephen Ave, the deliveries and the delivery trucks will only be allowed in the morning hours. And then starting with your lunch business, there'll be no more traffic on that road. Oh, I forgot to say, we did have a bunch of concerns about taxis and transportation network vehicles. And so we've created more taxi zones and TNC zones on the adjacent side streets, so people shouldn't have to walk too far to get a safe ride. So I'm quite comfortable that we're learning as we're going, but our priority here is to keep people safe. I mean, look, if we're trying to solve a public health emergency and we solve it by lots of traffic accidents, that's a big mistake. That's still a public health problem, but we're working hard to make sure that doesn't happen. Next question, please.
Thank you. Kevin Nemec, CTV.
Hi, Mayor.
Hi.
The Premier made comments in the legislature yesterday calling COVID-19 an influenza and emphasizing its impact particularly on seniors and not on everyone else. Do you think this rhetoric is dangerous, and could the city use its own power to open up some businesses and services slower than the province if you find that the province starts to move faster than you're comfortable with?
Our goal is, I'll answer the second half of the question first. Our goal is to work hand in glove with the province as best we can. And we've had a really good dialogue and opportunity to have conversations with them. As things stand, if the numbers stay where they are, then we are very comfortable with the June 1st opening, and we're very comfortable with the June 19th-ish going for stage 2. We think that makes quite a lot of sense. And we are working with the province to make sure that we're tracking the numbers very carefully. I really appreciate that the province has very clearly said that there are 3 things they're looking at: hospitalizations, ICUs, and what we call the R number, the rate of community transmission. All of those look really good right now. And so if this continues, then we're very comfortable moving in that order. As for the premier, I remarked, shall we say, on his comments. If I'm going to be really pedantic about it, because I'm super nerdy, I will point out it's not an influenza. It's a respiratory infectious disease, which is not the same thing. Of course, it is certainly true that the death rate among people who are older is much, much higher. But here's the thing. I don't want grandma to die. I think that we owe a duty of care to grandma just as much as we owe a duty of care to a 20-something who wants to sit on a patio on Stephen Avenue. And I know the premier thinks that way as well, and I don't want his thoughts to be misconstrued. Ultimately, we owe a duty to everyone in our community. And the other thing that I need to point out is that when you get into serious outbreak, as they did, for example, in New York City, and you look at the numbers of people who are infected, far, far, far more people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s are actually getting infected than older people because they're out and about more. So in New York City, last time I checked, which is a few weeks ago, even though the rate of death of infected people among the elderly was much, much higher than it was among younger people, the actual number of deaths was almost the same. And so regardless of who this impacts, some people still die. And a lot of folks say, oh, well, that's because of comorbidities, because those are young people who were sick anyway. Well, here's what the comorbidities include. Any respiratory disorder, if you have sleep apnea, if you have slight asthma, if you've ever used a ventilator, you have a comorbidity. If you're overweight, you have a comorbidity. If you have hypertension, you have a comorbidity, which actually means I would say the vast majority of people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, especially 40s and 50s, have one or more of these comorbidities. So we really do have to keep everyone safe. Do you have a follow-up, Kevin?
Yeah, I sure do. Just switching subjects a little bit here. Yesterday, Dr. Hinshaw mentioned that phase 2 could include the reopening of some arenas for hockey, for minor hockey, as well as maybe some other recreational facilities. Is the city looking at moving up its plan or accelerating its plan for facility reopenings?
Yes, very much so, yes. We have been creating our own safety protocols within our recreation facilities. Arenas certainly are a possibility, not for hockey, too much contact, but for figure skating, but also for hockey drills, certainly a possibility. I think the more interesting question is about gyms. And I've had yesterday when I did my Facebook Live, I would say 40% of the questions were about gyms. And so, right now, if you have an outdoor boot camp where you can guarantee 2 meters distancing, there's nothing stopping you from doing that now under our current orders. So you could go ahead and do that outdoors. As for indoor activity, we're really looking to find those guidelines. But if we can come up with guidelines that make sense for gyms and recreation facilities, and they would include things just off the top of my head, like you have to sign in so we know exactly who you are for contact tracing. You may wish to do temperature checks at the door. You must, of course, maintain the 2 meter distancing. There must be cleaning protocols. At my gym, yeah, you're supposed to wipe down the equipment after each user. Not sure everybody does that. So how do we make sure that those things are really in place for us to be able to move forward? But we've seen in other jurisdictions that gyms, recreational facilities, even in some cases swimming pools, are able to be open in an earlier stage than what we're calling stage 3. Dr. Hinshaw has indicated she's interested in examining that, and we're very happy to help in that conversation. But we will open on a schedule and with guidelines our city-owned rec facilities in a way that keeps everyone safe. All right, next question, please.
Jason Herring, the Calgary Herald.
Jason, are you there?
Your line is open.
Sorry, I have my phone on mute. Let's try that again.
There you
Hey,
go.
Mayor.
We can hear you now.
Awesome. Last week you were a little bit tepid on the idea of reopening Stephen Avenue, but you seem to have changed your tone on that. Can you let me know what kind of went into that decision?
It really was about listening to the businesses. As I said last week, I like that word tepid. As I said last week, in the past, for every restaurateur that I hear saying close it down to traffic, I hear other ones saying, actually, I need people to be able to drop off patrons at the door. I need later in the evening, that's a euphemism, for people to be able to get into cabs right away. Sometimes I need to put people in a cab. And so I'm worried about that. But the Calgary Downtown Association actually did a really good job on surveying their members. They found that the vast majority wanted to try this as an experiment. It does work better in the summer than in the winter, just because of light and issues with social disorders. So I'm always interested in experimenting. And now that I know that the businesses are behind it, I'm very happy to try this experiment. So this does not necessarily mean that we will go to no traffic on Stephen Avenue ever again year round. A lot more work would need to be done before that. Do you have a follow-up?
I do. There's been a lot of confusion around patios from what I've understood at these restaurants and bars. Just looking to get some clarification on exactly what the rules are. Are you able to go with friends? When do you have to social distance, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I'll try this again. There seemed to be some confusion on Tuesday. I don't think there's actually any confusion. I think folks are just having trouble with the answer and dealing with ambiguity. So here is the answer. There is no mandatory restriction on meeting someone who is not in your cohort and sitting at a table with them in the restaurant. However, there is a strong recommendation from Alberta Health Services that if you're going to go out to the restaurant, you can only have 6 people at a table. Those 6 people should be in your cohort. Those 6 people should be in your bubble. That said, nobody is suggesting that the server has to check everyone's ID and make sure they live in the same house. Nobody is suggesting that would be policed. You are not going to get a ticket for it. But ultimately, like so many things, it really is up to the individual to do the right thing and to take responsibility. So really be very clear-headed, as I've been saying since the very beginning, clear heads. Be very clear-headed on your decision and what it is you want to do and whether it's the right decision for your own safety, for the safety of your family and older people in your family or people with risks, and for the safety of the community. You know, everything we're doing is to keep down that second wave. So, you know, make those decisions wisely. And remember a few things. We think outdoors is safer than indoors. We believe that you should be able to do physical distancing. It is absolutely possible to talk to your friends 6 feet apart. You can do that at adjoining tables or even at one long table. So there really are ways to be a good citizen here. But again, the recommendation of Alberta Health Services is the people at your table should be the people in your bubble, but that is not a mandatory recommendation. All right, next question, please.
Thank you. Scott Dipple, CBC.
Hi, I was just wondering if we could get some detail in terms of the playground inspections. You know, how many crews, how many people are doing this work? Is it going to go like across the city? Is it a quadrant at a time, north to south? How is that going to unfold?
Do you want to take that one, Sue? All right.
Thank you for the question. So our playgrounds are inspected by City of Calgary staff that are trained in playground inspection. When they first open these playgrounds, they'll be doing a light check of the playground structure to make sure everything is safe. The playgrounds are inspected once per month and 7 times per year. We are planning to start with the regional playgrounds, which will open first, and those are the ones that I mentioned before that are designed to serve more than one community at a time. So that's places like Bonas Park, Riley Park, and Stanley Park, and then they will move to the other community playgrounds. Any follow-up?
I do have a follow-up question, different topic, and that is as it relates to the low-income transit pass. I understand that new passes are required for the month of June. I know that people can order them online, but where else besides City Hall can people get them at this time?
Yeah, thanks for the question. It's all the usual places they used to get the passes before, so the CT stores on Centre Street, as well as online. So there's no difference, no change there at all. The new relaxation we've got right now is that we understand that not everybody has a fair entry pass that may be up to date. So we are honouring some of the older fair entry passes, but we just do want to stress that people do need to have a valid fare to ride on transit.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Russell. And people can contact 311 if they have questions about that as well. And what Russell was saying right at the end there is you don't have to re-qualify for fair entry, but you do have to buy the low-income transit pass. Next question, please.
Thank you. Krista Dow, Global News.
Hey guys, I have two questions. With playgrounds, and maybe I missed the last avail. They're all kind of blurring together. But what's changed in terms of contact tracing? Could the same not be said for libraries? And if so, can we just not reopen those?
Yeah, so the difference, of course, between playgrounds and libraries is indoors versus outdoors, as well as the nature of the touch, you know, when you have a book in your hand for a long time versus when you have a momentary touch on a slide. But that said, I want to remind parents, as Sue has done, that while the playground's open, this is not a risk-free activity. And so I'm really reaching out to parents and saying, there's a whole bunch of things you need to do or you need to have your older kids do if they're going to the playground on their own. So number one is you're going to wash your hands before you go. Number two is you're going to have wipes, even if they're homemade wipes, with you. You're going to wipe down the surfaces before and after you play, because there ain't nobody else cleaning those surfaces. Number three is you're going to carry hand sanitizer with you and just use it a lot. And number four is you're going to wash your hands very well when you get home. Number five is, again, if you have the ability to download that Alberta Trace Together app, you really should if you're going to be at the playground, because you don't know those other families probably who have been using the playground and who were there before you. So that would be, or who were there at the same time as you, I should say. So that would be very helpful. Again, I'm happy they're opening. I've heard from so many parents that's the one thing they need. But I do want to remind people to be very safe. Kids can have a lot of fun, but you got to follow these simple rules and, of course, physical distancing. Did you have a follow-up?
I sure did. In terms of the Stephen Avenue and how that will look like, if the restaurants and bars are moving on into the sidewalk or into the roadway, is that going to make, I guess, kind of a tunnel for pedestrians? And is it going to just kind of bog up that line of walking?
It is a bit of a tunnel, but ultimately it's not much less width of space than we have when you add the two sidewalks together, because you've gotten rid of a lane of traffic and a lane of parking, so it's actually quite a bit of space. So we should be fine, but again, we encourage people to be thoughtful. And I mean, if I can be just really blunt about it, go down if you have a reason to go down. If you've got a restaurant you're going to, it's always better to call in advance. Don't go down sort of to aimlessly stroll. Don't stop at the fence and chat with your friends on the patio for a really long time and block the traffic. It's just a matter of being responsible. It's not like it was before. Operator, how many more questions have we got in that queue?
There are 3 questions in the queue.
All right, we'll do them all. Go ahead.
Okay. The next question is from Chris Epps, CTV Calgary.
Thank you, Mayor. The Indoor Tennis Center, Austin Victor, was asking about opening early too, given that tennis is now allowed outside and has been for a while, and it's a large facility. Do you see permission being extended to indoor facilities that are quite large, given that you're already looking at opening city facilities sooner than originally thought?
Yeah, I would imagine that it would be difficult for any particular indoor facility to open before other ones. But as I said, I think there's a good argument to be made to move those things forward from stage 3. And if the Alberta government, if Dr. Hinshaw agrees to do that, then the tennis center would come along with them. It is her decision, or it is Alberta Health's decision, but I'd have a lot of trouble with them saying, I mean, I wouldn't have trouble personally, I just can't imagine it. I can't imagine them saying, look, the tennis center is fine, but the Calgary Soccer Center is not. I think they will end up, those indoor facilities will end up going together. Do you have a follow-up, Chris?
Yeah, quick one. Any timeline for the rest of the city golf courses reopening? I know there's staffing issues and that sort of thing as well. So just
I actually, do you know, Sue? I don't know that one. I know that they really were working hard to open them in the first part of June, but I don't have an updated timeline. We'll make sure that gets out when it's available.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you. Rick Donkers, CBC.
Mr. Mayor, we are hearing from some of our sources that as many as 40% of Calgary restaurants will have to close permanently due to the pandemic, economic pressures, and business taxes, those sort of things. Is that what you're hearing? Is the impact that heavy? And can you comment on that?
I actually don't think it's quite that heavy, Rick. What we know from the literature and from years of experience is that after a natural disaster, up to 40% of businesses that were closed actually don't reopen. And that's probably where that number is coming from. We've worked very hard to bring that number down, as have the provincial and federal governments. After the flood, for example, that number was about 5% instead of 40%. And that's all businesses. For restaurants, what latest I've heard through our colleagues at Tourism Calgary and the hospitality industry is more than half of them are planning on opening for dine-in over the course of the next few weeks. And many of them are actually doing a decent business on pickup and delivery. So I'm not at all discounting the fact that we are going to lose some. We already have lost some. This is a very, very big problem, and citizens should be supporting local. And as I said before the long weekend, my advice to you for the weekend is eat out, get takeout, get curbside pickup. If you're comfortable with sitting on a patio or sitting in a restaurant and you can do so safely with your cohort, do that too. But ultimately, the power is in our own hands to support these businesses. And my goal is to make sure that number is way below 40%. And I don't think it'll go that high. Did you have a follow-up, Rick?
No, I didn't. It's already been asked. Thank you.
Thanks very much. All right, we'll take our final question for today then.
Thank you. Final question is a follow-up from Madeline Smith, Calgary Herald. Please go ahead.
Hi there, Mayor. I'm going to have a quick question for Mr. Davies and then back to you. Russell, I'm just wondering if you can give some more detail about the routes, the bus routes in Calgary that are seeing some, I think you said minor overloading, which ones those are, and what exactly is in place to make sure that those challenges are addressed as we go forward.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to say I don't actually have the specific route numbers to hand. I mean, I can get that information for you. But the routes that we're seeing the overloads on this week are the routes that we saw the overloads on last week, coincidentally. So it's what we're doing to try and address that. We do monitor our overloads twice daily. We have a protocol in place that if we see that overload happening more than 3 days in a row, then we'll put some temporary service in place. And if it goes longer than that, then we look at making a permanent service adjustment. So it really is driven by the ridership that's out there at any one time.
Okay, just where exactly are the routes? Is it sort of central, or can you say where in the city?
They're all throughout all the city, actually. There was some overloads in some of the industrial areas, but I can certainly get you the detailed route numbers if you need.
Okay, thank you. And then, Mayor, I'm just wondering if you could comment on an incident we saw this week of racist graffiti at the Chinese consulate. This is something that other cities have been talking about quite a bit, as some people in Asian communities are saying they don't feel safe, or reporting some pretty upsetting instances when they go out in public. So what's your response to this, and what's your message as we saw an incident in Calgary this week?
Thanks very much, Madeline. We condemn any kind of division or hatred or racism in this community. And I need to remind people, we are all in this together. We are all here together to get through this at the same time. And it makes no difference where you think this originated. It makes no difference what you think about government response. We're in this together, and we are working on this together. You know, a friend of mine posted on Facebook the other day what he said is he knew would be a horribly unpopular opinion, and it was probably the most popular opinion he's ever posted, in which he said, this pandemic has reminded him that too many of us have forgotten about the value of community, that too many of us have forgotten that the success of our neighbor is our own success and the failure of our neighbor is our own failure. And ultimately, we are all lucky enough, regardless of what we look like or where we come from or how we worship or whom we love, we are lucky enough that we get to live here and that we get to live here together. And so ultimately, not only do I condemn these acts, I tell the people who commit these acts, wow, you're really stupid because you don't understand what is keeping you safe. And ultimately, our job is to keep all of us safe. And so with that, I will say that as we go into this beautiful weekend, enjoy yourselves, get some fresh air, get some sunshine, remind yourself why you love being here in Calgary, but while you're doing it, stay safe. Stay safe always, be kind to everyone, and together we'll continue to save lives.